Welcome back to the VHS Club. It's Thursday again. I was thinking the other day that we really missed an opportunity that because we could have called this like Throwback Thursday, or I'm just going to keep playing off the TBT Throwback Thursday hashtag every time we post anything on any of our social accounts, which we now have Instagram. So if you're an Instagram person and you want to get clips, and I think we're going to start maybe doing some like fun memes and GIFs and things, because why not? So you can follow us on Instagram at VHS Pod. If you at VHS Club Pod. If you go just at VHS Club, there's an awesome account that you should also follow. Yes. But if you want to find us, we are at VHS Club Pod. But hello, happy Thursday. Hey, Nat.
Hi, happy Thursday. So a little recap from last week.
Ooh,
I was at my brother's this weekend.
Are we throwing it back to Thursday?
Let's throw it back to Thursday, literally.
Yeah.
And I was like, Andrew, my brother, which of the 3 movies that we discussed last week, the 3 scary movies, so we discussed Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and The Faculty. He's like, which one was the scariest? Because we asked. And he's like, oh, for sure, Scream. He's like, because it was all new, you know, like it was bringing back like the slashers, same as me. And I was like, okay, because I'm like, what do you think about The Faculty? Because Katie and one of our listeners were like, oh, The Faculty was the scariest. He's like, no, that one was hilarious. I'm like,
I am with you that it was funny. I am with you that it was funny. I think it's the like, I'm gonna continue to fight you on this. I think that Scream is brilliant. Sure. I think Scream is the best of the 3 movies. Yes. I think that The Faculty is creepy, and there's like something about the like gross creepiness factor that's just like scarier to me. Like I find that scarier than like I can't help but laugh when Ghostface runs and his little cape swivels. I can't. I find it funnier the more times I watch it. It'll be interesting to see what how I feel in the newest Scream that's coming out, I think like very soon here, if not already out.
I think the premiere just happened, didn't it?
Yeah, I feel like I saw all the TikToks with like tickets are on sale now. But I think a lot of what makes Scream and I mean really like any of the slasher flicks less scary to me is that we watch them as a group, and there is something to be said about watching like a horror movie of any generation in a group. Because if you're in the group that we are often in, there's like sarcastic, like ridiculous comments. Like you're about to be scared. And then Nat's like, oh my God, did you see that guy in the background? And you're like, you're just like snapped out of it. And it's funny.
You see that guy tripped?
Yeah. And it totally takes away the fear. Whereas the creepiness and like grossness of Faculty, like things getting like stabbed in people's eyes and like blowing up and like these things like sucking into people's ears. That I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's not scarier. It's creepier. Maybe I'll go with creepier. Creepier. I just felt like scarier. Scream. I'll go with that.
Oh, like what was wrong with my brother and I? Like, how did we grow up that we like? Pretty much everybody else agrees that The Faculty is scarier, but my brother and I both, without having talked about it since it came out, our instant reactions were like, that movie was hilarious.
It was funny. Like, I don't like it is reviewed as being like a sarcastic, funny, like dark comedy, really. I mean, it's like a dark comedy.
I just thought it was adorable. All right, listeners. So today we are talking about She's All That.
We are going all in on She's All That. I love this picture because it's like $4.99 dollar bin listeners, if you are listening and not watching, we always have the VHS copy of the movie we're discussing on screen with us. And the one I was almost not gonna use this one because it's got a price tag on it, but the $4.99 just really speaks to me. I'm like, yeah, I feel it.
Classic.
Classic. I will say before we even jump
those
in,
orange stickers too.
Yeah, the orange price tag stickers. This movie, unlike I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is, the last Freddie Prinze Jr. movie we talked about, this movie made an absolute killing on opening weekend and lived up to every expectation. And still, I'm trying here I gotta move around here and see my total numbers. It's still something like top 9, I think, it is still the 9th highest grossing teen romance film. And keep in mind, in that category,
wow,
Twilight owns the top 5 spots. So it's actually less than 9 because Twilight shouldn't own top 5. How does it own 5 spots? Anyway, Twilight apparently.
There's 5 movies, Katie.
Yeah.
5 movies, 1 story.
Yeah, but like what? Anyway, that aside. But anyway, so
that's a whole other conversation.
Very top grossing film. So this one really defined a generation and made an insane amount of money. And it's still, you and I were talking right before we jumped on, not to give away the reviews or ratings at the end, but it's still just again, there's, rewatching these movies and rewatching this one, I still feel this deeply. This is how I thought. So Nat and I went to high school in Montreal, which is not the She's All That high school experience, you guys. Not that experience.
Most of my notes while watching this are does this really happen in American schools? It's just from American movies, right?
Yeah.
None of this is real.
Yeah, this defined my belief in what American high school was like and made me just intensely sad that I did not go to this school. I'm I could be these characters. I could, the fact that they had a school radio, they have I mean, let's put aside that Usher is in charge of their school radio, but they have a school radio and they have they had framed photos of the student body president and the captain of the soccer team and whatever else on the walls in this ridiculous.
I don't know that I even had. Do you remember when we were kids? When we were in high school, there was that huge teacher strike for 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, no sports.
We didn't have student body. Nope. We didn't have yearbook. We didn't have we had nothing. We had a yearbook, but only in our graduating year and but we didn't have any of this stuff. But that was because there was a huge teacher strike back at the time.
Yeah, there was no prom, king,
no field trip,
queen, none of this. This is all imaginary.
I'm surprised we even had a prom. It's a very American concept. It really is.
It's so sad to go to high school in Canada, you guys. No, but I do think
we had formal dances, which I actually liked our winter formal way better than I liked prom.
We didn't have a winter formal. Get out of town. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of your school then. My school's lame. No,
Catholic school.
of all of the schools, of all of the movies that took place in high school, I feel like this one was the one where I was just I want to go to there. I want to go to there. I'm sure it would be awful and I would totally be Lainey Boggs. What a terrible name. But I'm sure that I would totally be her, but it would worth it for me.
Did you know that there is a pop culture reference of why she's called Lainey Boggs?
Oh no, I didn't catch that in my fun facts. Do tell.
Yes. She's named after 2 different Winona Ryder characters.
Oh.
Lainey from Reality Bites and Boggs, I can't remember. Boggs, it was a different. Sorry, guys, I didn't look that. I looked it up. I don't remember the fact. I didn't.
We'll put that in the show notes.
That's a pop culture reference in this movie. That her name's Lainey Boggs because she's named after Winona Ryder characters.
Yeah.
Who was also a teen high school actor icon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Though a little bit before.
Yeah.
Well,
I love this movie. I'm excited.
One thing about this, watching it or rewatching it now, I'm what the rich kid school was this?
Oh yeah, now that
like,
I'm rewatching
yeah,
it, absolutely. You're like, it is clearly a like
yeah,
privileged, spoiled,
like
rotten brat. Like
like
even
Hollywood, LA kind of school because
exactly.
and like all these kids, like they do mention that the kids are all rich and that Lainey seems to be on a scholarship,
Yeah, and it's very so
or
it's
they
very
hinted it.
Veronica Mars vibes where it's like Lainey Boggs is the main character, well one of the
Yeah.
main characters. And there's like the character is played by Rachael Leigh Cook, and there is no way on God's green earth that she could ever be considered geeky or ugly or anything. So
Oh yeah,
we're
so
all pretending. She's supposed to be the ugly
yeah,
kid that like no
she's
one
supposed to
would
be the ugly
yeah.
duckling and awkward. I'm like, she's just clumsy.
Yeah.
I'm like,
She's
they
clumsy.
put glasses on her beautiful porcelain doll of a face and give her a really bad wig when she has long hair before the makeover.
Yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't, even that horrible wig didn't make her ugly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, she's beautiful.
What I love about this storyline is that so she's supposed to be this ugly duckling. Freddie Prinze Jr. and Paul Walker, which breaks my heart to see him again, but Paul Walker and Freddie Prinze Jr. and the guy from Psych, who I'm not even going to give you his name because he's just the guy from Psych. The three of them make this pact, this bet that Freddie Prinze Jr., who has just been dumped by his girlfriend, can't find another equally hot prom date in time for prom, right? So it's like, it's supposed, the premise of this movie is supposed to be that like Freddie Prinze Jr. is a jerk and Rachael Leigh Cook is ugly. And I don't believe either of those things, and yet I still love this movie.
The premise is he's popular.
Yeah. But he's supposed to be
Like,
kind of like a jerk. He agrees to make a bet, though. So he's like kind of a jerk. But then every other moment from literally that point on, he's the nicest person ever. Like he's like
very
Freddie
sympathetic.
Prinze Jr. being super nice, and she's like Rachel being super hot, and I'm on board for it, even though it totally ruins the point of the movie completely.
It does, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, like she's an art student, and she's like clumsy and she's artistic, and she comes from a single parent household because her mom passed away from cancer when she was younger, and so she's kind of responsible for the house, and so she has a lot of like reasons to be a pariah from the social scene in high school because she has real life stuff to deal with. So at least her character.
Yeah, she's like, the one thing I really love about this one is that unlike Can't Hardly Wait, which we covered, and I mean, and even really a lot of the movies that are in this era, maybe with the exception of 10 Things I Hate About You, but I'm trying to think like she comes across as just like a badass, strong female protagonist. Like she remains like no nonsense, understands herself, does not care what other people think. She's like not really hurting as a result of it. Like she doesn't like become a better person by going through this makeover process. Like she may be a little bit like by knowing him because he's just way too nice for his character.
He does open her up. He does open her up. So one of the things that he notices of her and is that she's very closed off, and her best friend keeps saying like, oh, you're so closed off, like just give him a chance, maybe this guy really likes you. And he does open her up a lot, and it changes her art, and her teacher at the end gives her affirmations that her art has really improved. It's the best work she's ever seen, and all of her art college applications got glowing reviews, and so he does open her up. So her kind of thing is that she's very closed off,
but she doesn't really change her personality though, which is really nice. Like I feel like a lot of the other movies in this time period, and certainly earlier, like they're like, you know,
they have to flip a full switch.
Yeah, she was bitchy, and now she's like opened up and is nicer, and it's like, nope, she still remains like strong, weird, artsy,
persnickety.
Persnickety, and that's fine. Like he kind of meets her halfway, which I just thought was a nice change from a lot of the other movies that are in this space.
Definitely.
It doesn't
her
try too hard
opening
on either
line
side of it. Yeah.
Her opening line in this was something about like global warming, and we didn't use the word global warming necessarily, or we started using the word global warming around then.
Yeah.
Like it was, or no, global climate change is what we didn't use then. Anyways, so like you can see she's kind of like, she has all these like social causes. She's into like saving the environment, and her best friend, every time they talk, it's like he really wanted to have a snack, and he's like, but I couldn't because the company that's the parent company that makes the snack and is affiliated with this, they kill dolphins.
We can't eat this anymore.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, they're very like social conscious, and yeah, so she's portrayed as a very strong character right off the bat.
Yeah. And there are 9 million cameos in this movie. So like all of the other movies that we've watched up until this point, like these movies are iconic in so far the mass majority of movies we've covered, I think all of them actually have been teen movies. So we haven't yet done any of the kind of adult we'll get there, but we haven't yet done any of the adult 90s movies because we just are enjoying reliving our youth. But it's amazing how many of the actors that you see, I mean actors and musicians and icons that you see in this movie who were not recognizable or any kind of names then. I mean, you have obviously Freddie Prinze Jr., you have Matthew Lillard, you have Anna Paquin, Usher is in it, Lil' Kim is in it.
Kim is in it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I love that Sarah Michelle Gellar is in it. Apparently she didn't want to say anything. She was just like there visiting her boyfriend, now husband, and she was like, all right, I guess I'll sit in the background. She's like, I'm not going to say anything, I don't want to steal any thunder. But she's in it.
Apparently it was filmed
Paul
on the
Walker.
same campus as Buffy.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. So
yeah, which is why she was visiting him on set. Yeah.
Yeah.
Watching it, I was like, Lil' Kim and Usher have like real full names. Like they have last names.
Exactly. They're not like recognizable.
Oh,
yeah. Exactly. Well, she apparently was. Lil' Kim was like somewhat famous at that time. It said that she was.
She was, yeah.
I don't know if she was like the highest paid or not, but she was the one that like showed up in like a limo to set and like clearly had all of the money and was like the name that all the rest of the actors were like.
Oh, she was a rapper, like pop icon. You're like, yeah, she was already. This I think was her acting debut.
Yeah. It was. Gabrielle Union is in this. So I wanted to ask
She looks the same. Can we just say Gabrielle Union is the female Paul Rudd? She hasn't aged.
She is the female Paul Rudd. So I wanted to ask you this because I vividly, and I'm probably just making this up, it's probably just in my head, but throughout the entire movie, every time I looked at her, I am picturing in my head a scene with her from a 90s era-ish horror film. And I was like,
for sure. Wasn't she in Halloween H2O?
I looked it up and I couldn't find. I was like Gabrielle Union horror movie. Like I couldn't seem to find it, and I feel like she was in like I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, like one of those. But I couldn't find her listed in any of them, and I'm like, I really don't think I'm confusing. Like you said, she has such a distinct face.
Well, I remember when we went to see this in theaters, so I remember sitting in the theater watching this and being like, why isn't she Taylor? Like, I always had it in my head, like, she was more famous at the time, and I'm like, well, she still is, but, like, I was like, if she's the more, like, known actor, why isn't she playing, like, the Veronica, the mean girl, like, Taylor, the ex-girlfriend? I always thought that was confusing to me. I was like, but that's Gabrielle Union. She's the prettiest person there. Why isn't she the main character? But her character in this was fantastic. So she's in, like, the popular.
Let's pretend that she's ugly for a few hours.
Yeah.
Like let's really
again not possible. So her character in the, like, I guess the popular clique of this high school, there's Freddie Prinze Jr., who's Zach, Paul Walker, Dean. Now I can only think his name's Dule, but I can't remember his character's name.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
And then there is Gabrielle
Taylor,
Union.
And her
clique, and like 3 other girls. And when Zach brings Lainey Boggs out to the beach and he sees his friends, I love that he immediately apologizes. He's like, oh God, my friends are assholes. I'm so sorry. I'm re-apologizing.
I know, he's
nice self-aware. He's really nice.
Yeah.
And then when they all settle down and the girls are like getting ready to tan, and one of the guys comes up, hey, you want to play volleyball? And like right away, Gabrielle Union's like, yeah, I'll come play with you. Like, because Lainey's like, sure, I'll play. Like, I run like a girl because I am a girl, but I'm still going to play because why not? That'll be fun. And she immediately is on Lainey's team. Like, she doesn't like ostracize any of her friends. She just immediately accepts Lainey into the group. Yeah, and it's just really nice.
There's a really
she
nice
also nominates her for prom queen.
Yeah, they're I know that this is just like a teen movie and is not like a huge deal or gonna win any kind of awards or whatever, but there is a really like just level of nice authenticity of like how you wish things like actually were. Like, yes, it is horrible that he has made this like outrageous bet against her, which really in the grand scheme of things isn't that big of a deal. While watching this with Dane, he immediately pointed out, he was like, there's no like, what is the wager? Like, what do they win or lose? Which they don't at all mention until the very end. And for a while,
we find out at the end.
Maybe there is no like prize or failure for it. I was like, I'm trying to like.
Which I love in that scene where Paul Walker and Freddie Prinze Jr. are arguing, and Dulé says like, look, I know we all have big jimmies, but let's just stop fighting and move on from this. I'm like, big Jimmy? Like, and there's a couple of like lines in the movie where they like, like any normal person, teenager will swear, and they don't. And I'm like, I'm wondering if they saved that for that scene,
Yeah.
At first I was like, were they not allowed to swear in this movie? But then I'm wondering, because she does, when she finds out that it was all a bet.
Yeah.
And like that iconic, like, was I a fucking bet?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder if nobody swore in the movie to lead up to that impact of that moment.
Yeah, it's possible.
I read they had done a reunion, like sort of interview a few years back, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rachael Leigh Cook.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that scene where she yells, "Am I a fucking bet?" Freddie Prinze Jr. at the time was so like emotional about it that he actually was tearing up, and he was like really, really upset about the whole scene. And she's like, it just made him the most lovable, endearing person to me. I was like, oh.
I know that he's only like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years older than us, but like I feel like he's maybe like, he's America's Dad Junior. He's like mini Tom Hanks, where I feel like he could step into that role. He's just like, seems to be just a genuinely nice person. I read that they actually obviously had this whole movie written before they started hiring actors to play in it. But I guess once they decided that they wanted him in this role, they made a bunch of rewrites to the character because the character in the screenplay
to make him nicer
was too mean, and they were like, we can't have Freddie Prinze Jr. doing this. He's too likable.
But also, it wouldn't have been plausible necessarily in the end. Do you know who? I think one of the rewriters, like one of the script doctors for this, was M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, I heard that. It was like the back and forth. I always want to know like how accurate some of these like facts are.
Well, apparently the production company like came out and was like, yeah, he really did. Because the other writer who wrote the original script was like, no, M. Night Shyamalan had nothing to do with it. And then the producers were like, actually, they're both right. Like, they just didn't know that they both wrote this movie.
I mean, I'm on board for M. Night Shyamalan doing more romance movies. I think it could be
He's a good writer.
I think it could be a really good path for him.
Always puts in a good twist.
I absolutely love it. I'm looking through some of mine. I wrote like live one-line notes. I know that you do the same thing, Nat, but I love that one of the ones at the absolute beginning was, is spring break actually a thing in American high schools?
These kids, some of them went to Europe. Like, some of them went to what? Well, Florida, I guess. Like, what is it, Daytona? All the kids go to?
I don't even remember having a spring break. Did we have spring break? Like, I feel like we had
reading week or study break.
Did we have things like that in high school? I really don't remember that in high school. I remember reading break in college.
Yeah, at university we had, but it was a study break.
Yeah, it was literally called reading week.
It was because it
was like
and I think at Concordia it was called. We went to rival universities in Montreal, by the way, guys. Yeah. and we were not allowed to have our spring breaks at the same time because the ski hills around here just didn't like us hanging out together because it just became too raucous.
it was like study break or reading week, and at least
Yeah, we
I
also
think,
had all of our midterms.
yeah, I was gonna say
right
the
after
midterms
the
were like
break.
right after. But yeah, I was amazed that
Brutal.
that spring break was a real thing. And then of course
Yeah.
I never watched The Real World, but like it was absolutely so incredibly iconic during this time period that I was like, Brock from The Real World just was
Oh my
like,
God.
it was such a throwback to like, I don't know, to Pretty in Pink, to like, it was like, Brock, your name is Brock from The Real World. Like, I couldn't even come close to take it. I literally laughed out loud.
Okay,
It was like
when
fantastic.
so when Taylor, which is Zach's girlfriend, gets back from spring break, she and the girls were off in Florida.
Yeah.
And she does like a guest appearance on this reality TV show, or bumps into a star from this reality
From
TV
The
show,
Real
Brock.
World. Yeah.
So then she comes back and she's like, you know what, babe? We're just like, I'm done. Like, we're breaking up and it's totally fine. And, like, it's about time. And then she does this line where she's like, oh no, you thought we were going to like still be together before we went away to college? She's like,
Oh, you did,
that's so
didn't
cute.
you? Yeah, exactly. It's totally
Which,
the reverse of Can Hardly Wait, where the guy
yeah,
is like, needs to break up with his girlfriend before college so
yeah,
that he can sleep with all of the college girls. It's like the hilarious reverse of that.
it is. And then it's funny because later in the movie, when Brock finally dumps Taylor, he pulls the exact same line on her. He's like, oh, you really thought we would still be together before I left to go do this new reality TV show? He's, oh, that's so sweet. So she gets her comeuppance. But so Matthew Lillard plays Brock, he pulls up after she just dumps her boyfriend. She's already clearly dating Brock. And he gets out of his like fancy flash car. He has his like theme song like blasting on the stereo. And they have this ridiculously funny makeout scene. Like, they make out, but it's like a parody of a couple making out with way too much PDA.
Yeah, they're both in it just for people watching them. They're not in it for the actual.
Oh my God, it was
for the actual relationship.
No. So in the movie, then, so Zach makes this bet. He gets dumped, or he makes the bet because he gets dumped. His quote unquote best friend, which we can talk about in a bit, is very debatable whether they're even actually friends. Bets him, picks Lainey Boggs, the clumsy, artsy weirdo, and he decides to go and ask her out. It doesn't really work, so he decides instead, he realizes if he just flat out asks her out, it's not going to happen. So he finds his way in with her by saying like, oh, I really want to learn more about art, and you're like the best artist at the school, so teach me about it. So she invites him to an art show, and I'm like, Katie disappeared. Sorry, listeners, I stuttered because Katie vanished off our screens.
Hang on.
So he goes to this art show, and after this extremely strange movement piece, I don't know what it would actually be called, but she's involved in this piece, and he's like, everybody applauds. And then she calls him up on stage. Basically, she's trying to call him out on his BS, and is like, hey, like, we have a new budding artist in the audience, like, come and join us up on stage. And you could see he really doesn't want to do it, but he also knows that if he wants to get in with this girl, he has to do it. So then there's this classic scene where he has a hacky sack in his pocket, and he uses it as a commentary piece. Katie's back, viewers!
Oh, no.
Oh, Katie's gone.
Having one of those
I spoke too soon.
Spoke too soon. All good. Keep going.
So he pulls out his hacky sack, and he's like kicking it up and doing hacky sack, playing hacky sack, and he uses it as a commentary about how difficult it is to be popular because everybody's always watching him and have expectations of him. And it actually is quite successful, and you can see that's his first chink in her armor, like he is a little in. And then eventually he brings her out to a party after the beach date, and that's when she has her makeover. In the scene, she says she can't go to the party because she has to clean the house. So he gets the whole junior varsity soccer team to come and clean the house for her.
Yeah.
And I love it because there's another cameo in it. The Milo Gilmore Girls, what's his face, is in it.
Yeah.
I saw that. I was like, wait a second. I didn't know that.
I absolutely love that scene because in this scene, so she's lied to him and has told him that she can't possibly go to this party because she has to clean the house. And she's kind of done it in this way that's like clearly, like, she's like, I can't, I have to clean my house.
She's a terrible liar.
Like, she's a terrible liar.
She's a terrible liar.
She's clearly just like getting out of it. So she's there. Her dad, who is hands down my favorite character in this movie, he's adorable and like the nicest.
Kevin Pollak, yeah,
just adorable. He's sitting on the couch, like he's a pool, he owns a pool cleaning business. So he just like, he's in his like casual clothes on the couch and he's watching Jeopardy and he is answering every answer to every question out loud incorrectly. Like, and not completely just like kind of incorrectly, like completely wrong. And for about 10 or 15 minutes, like, Zach comes in, he brings the entire varsity team with him. They're wandering around cleaning, and like Zach's younger sister, who's also probably my second favorite character. The backup characters are incredible in this, but she comes in with him to do all of Rachel's hair and makeup, so all of Lainey's hair and makeup, and like help her into this dress, and they go upstairs, and the dad is still just watching Jeopardy, like not registering that there's anyone around, still answering all the questions wrong. And then one of the soccer players answers the Jeopardy question correctly while the dad answers it wrong. And he looks up and is like, who are you people? And it is like, it takes him a good 15 minutes to acknowledge that there are other people in the house with him, which is just absolutely fantastic. And between that and then the moment of, and I don't know about you, Nat, but like there's something that's just so ingrained in my head. Maybe this is like totally anti-feminist of me, but ingrained in my head of just like someone that goes out of their way to facilitate you being able to do something that you kind of wanted to do, but we're trying to get out of it. Like, not only does he show up, but he shows up, he solves the problem, still helps like her clean the house, which she probably didn't even need to do anyway. But he comes with like a dress he wants to see her in, and like his sister to help her with her. Like, it's just so
a dress
sweet.
His sister picked out, let's be honest.
Sure, but it's like, it's this really, really cute dress. And I love that like when they get to the party, his horrible ex-girlfriend is also wearing a red dress, but it's just like nowhere near it. Like
hers is
it's this,
way nicer.
Yeah, right. It's like this comparison between the two of them, and and obviously like Lainey is super sweet and nice and wonderful, and Taylor is just like awful.
For
and
me,
he could care less, right, that she's there. But
for me, it's that scene when the sister is like, "Okay, we're ready for like to present the new makeover Lainey."
The grand reveal.
And she's like, Lainey Boggs, get your cute butt down here. And you see she's slowly descending the stairs. For me, it's the look on his face. And you can see him like struggling to breathe. Like, oh, that moment. That's the moment. Like, that's,
Yeah, that moment is pretty awesome. And then, of course, she trips.
And it had
wonderful. Like, she trips
Sixpence None the Richer song was at that moment too.
Yeah, which apparently blew
that was
up
the
with
iconic song from this movie. Yeah,
it's absolutely fantastic.
So the party that they go to has one of my two really good scenes. One of my favorite scenes in this whole movie. The really good scene is with her and Clea Duvall in the bathroom, who's like the bitchy, like art girl,
rich art
like
student.
I guess mean girl, but back then we would have said the Veronica, like she was.
Sorry,
Heather,
any listeners whose names are Veronica or Heather. I'm sure you're lovely, but your name has quickly become defined as the mean one.
I said Veronica, I meant Heather. That's from another movie, The Heathers, which is the original inspiration for the Mean Girls movie. If you haven't seen the original Heathers, it is a very, very dark satire, high school teen movie. It's phenomenal. So this girl, we'll call her Heather because I can't remember her name, is in the bathroom and she's puking her guts out because these kids, by the way, these teenagers in this movie are constantly drunk, on drugs, and having very adult sex. Okay. Like,
Yes. And
I
the cars that are in, I know that these are like wealthy teenagers, and this is
rich
not the
kid.
only like wealthy teenager rich kid scene in any movie. Like
No.
they're in every movie. But like
But
the
they're
value
so
of the
rich.
cars in the parking lot, like as they're casually walking up to this party, you're like, what
cost my
what do your
house.
parents do, guy from Psych? Because I don't understand like how like. And he doesn't even say like that his parents are out of town or like it was just ridiculous. I was like, who are you? Are you a drug dealer? Like I don't understand. Like a lawyer for someone very important. Yeah, I couldn't.
For a drug dealer?
For a drug dealer? Yeah.
So Heather's puking out her guts in the bathroom, and Lainey's actually all super sweet, and she's like, do you need help? Do you want me to do anything for you? And she still acts super mean to her and tries to tear her down.
Yeah.
And so Lainey slams bathroom door shut while she's still in there. And then we find out a little bit later, so the girl passes out on the bathroom floor after having, alcohol poisoning, because that's what 17-year-olds normally, anyways. Yeah. We were not that kid in high school. So she leaves the bathroom after a period of time, and then we find out later, Clea Duvall, Heather, whatever, she comes out of the bathroom and her face is painted like a clown.
Yeah. It's pretty fantastic because it's both artistic and wonderful. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And so Clea Duvall's character and all of her little posse, like her little artsy popular girls clique, they're all painting clowns in art class. Like you see that earlier in the movie where they like just are literally all painting the same clown.
Yeah. So
this was like Lainey's like revenge. Like you are a clown. And anyways, I thought that was a great moment.
I know, and I love it because like almost immediately after that moment, it's pretty clear that like Lainey is stuck in this situation where she doesn't want to be at this party, and it's like it's not her people, even though like obviously like I think there's some excitement in getting invited and being cool. She's dealing with like the really evil popular girl. There's like it's all just overwhelming. But I just thought it was so sweet that after an iconic dance mob scene, like anything else, which we should talk about in a second, after that amazing scene, she's just like, I want to go home. And he's like, no problem. I respect your decision. Yes. I'll drive you home. And like
his ex-girlfriend tears her down, embarrasses her, pours her drink all over her silk dress, like douses this poor kid in a beer.
Yeah.
Like mocks her in front of everybody and is like, oh, are you gonna cry? And she runs out, she trips. He runs right after her.
Yeah, he's right after her.
What
and
guy
he's just
ever?
like, let's go. Like let's go. He's
got
so,
you.
Yeah, he's just like the nicest person. There's no like moment where he's like stays and kind of is like, wow, I can't believe like my friends and my crew did this. He's just like, we're out of here.
There's no moment in this movie where I actually thought he was a bad guy.
Yeah, he's just he's almost
it didn't
too nice
happen
for this entire movie. He's too nice for this entire movie, but let's talk about the dance scene because it is incredible. Okay. That song is still like every time I hear that song, I still think of that dance scene.
Okay, so Matthew Lillard, Brock, and Taylor like crash into this party already wasted, which I'm like, how did they get there? Did they have a cab ride? Did they drive wasted? Anyways,
he drove.
They show up.
Clearly drove this wasted, yes.
This is my adult brain being like, so many things are wrong here. He is wearing this. Okay, so I used to work at a clothing store in the 90s called Bootlegger, and we legitimately sold, like I sold this outfit to so many people, okay? So it's this, there was these men's like oversized, baggy, button-down, short-sleeve shirts with a collar. Mm-hmm. But they were made out of plastic, but they were lame, okay? Yeah. They were like sort of liquid silver, and then he had on these like fake leather, like patent leather silver pants, mm-hmm. and the classic like white men's undershirt. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the kids are calling it nowadays, but we will not repeat what we called it because that's horrible. Yeah. And he's wearing a puka shell necklace.
Yeah,
he is the epitome of like 90s, early aughts douchebag. I love him.
Yeah. Yeah. And they have this like wonderful, ridiculous dancing. And that's not even the only dancing that happens at
That's
this
not
party.
the only dance scene.
It's
He
not
just
like
crashes this party and like makes everybody stop what they're doing or what they're listening to put on his theme song to embarrass his girlfriend. Like
yes.
he's a full-on narcissist in this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's clear
I
that it's going to
love
be
there's
over
one scene
pretty
where
soon.
him and Taylor are in bed and she's trying to get a little frisky with him and he's rewatching his own episode of his reality TV show and he's reenacting everything that he does. Oh my god, it was so funny.
Yeah.
Anyways, Matthew Lillard was a comedic genius.
Matthew
I'm
Lillard
just saying.
is a comedic genius. But yeah, that dance scene is incredible. And then the other dance scene is Funk's Soul Brother.
Prom.
And they do an entire, like, the whole school has memorized the same dance and does it. And I remember vividly, like, watching this and being like, this is what school dances are going to be like.
No.
Like, no, never like
My
this.
prom was not like that.
Not like this
so
at
I had
all.
questions. I had questions back then, and I have questions now about that dance scene.
Yeah.
Okay, it was very cool. Usher was the DJ. He gets everybody dancing. It's Fatboy Slim
Yep.
is the song. It's or the band.
Yeah.
I forget what the song is called.
I think
but
it's just
Christopher
called
Walken.
Funk Soul Brother, isn't it? Or the
Funk Soul Brother.
Yeah.
Fatboy Slim was the band.
Yeah. You're
So, so, okay, where did they all learn the choreography? Was it mandatory to go to prom? Was it something that they, like, was it an extracurricular activity after
right.
school?
That was at prom. I keep thinking that was at the party, but that's not at the party. It's at prom.
No,
later.
that's
I
at
take it back.
prom.
All right.
I'm like, how did they all prep for this at prom? Was this like a year-long thing? Did they bring in choreographers for this? Like,
I don't know, but I'm on board with it. Even though it
was amazing.
0 sense, I am there for it. I'm just like,
no,
totally
I
there
love
for
it, especially in a teen movie. You need some kind of montage,
Yeah.
like, which they do. They have like a little volleyball montage
They do.
earlier in the movie, and then a dance scene, a random, inexplicable dance scene.
Yep.
Which was amazing,
Yep.
led by Usher.
Yep.
Amazing. And you could tell that everybody in this high school graduating class was a professional dancer, by the way, because this was no joke choreography.
Oh.
I forget who did the choreography, but he is a famous choreographer, and he was on So You Think You Can Dance. He was one of the choreographers on that for a while.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but he was amazing.
Well, I skipped ahead, so I'm sorry. We can go back, but
That's
dancing
okay.
was just too. I was like, dancing, yes. but if we go
All the
back, so
dancing.
she has a horrible time at this party, and then from this party, now all of a sudden she's, there's a schism between them. She doesn't know what to do. But yet, what I love about it is that I'm looking at the wrong camera. What I love about it is that she keeps the look, right? So I mean, obviously she's not going to grow back her hair, but she's like.
The glasses don't come back on.
Yeah, she gets rid of the glasses, and she's now just like a hot art student who's now moderately cheesed off that she's been dragged through this entire situation. And he's like frustrated and doesn't know what to do to be able to get her back. And it's kind of fantastic to like kind of watch them go back and forth. But one of the ways he wins her back, which I think is amazing, and again, like a favorite scene, is that her brother, who's like the cutest, nicest kid in this, played by Kieran Culkin, and her brother is being picked on by, a couple of students at school, and he stands up for her brother, and like it's just this
in front of the whole school cafeteria.
In front of the whole school cafeteria, and it's really this amazing scene because again, he's too nice for everyone.
He is amazing in this scene. Let's recap that quickly. This cafeteria bullying scene, because it made me want to vomit. Then it still makes me want to vomit now. What these two bullies are doing to pick on this kid was one of them tore out his own pubic hair, put it on a pizza, and we're gonna make him eat it. So Freddie Prinze Jr. now forces the two bullies to eat the pube pizza, which
it's hard to watch.
That's
still
too
hard to
much,
watch,
guys.
It's still hard to watch as an adult. I did read that it was actually like corn silk, like the corn, the little hairs on corn on the cob. So that made me feel moderately better. But I was like, oh, still so gross.
No, that's so gross. But he does stand up for the kid, and he knows his name now because he didn't earlier.
Yeah.
And you could see Lainey is like, oh.
Yeah.
He's winning her over. Now, let's talk about Paul Walker's character, Dean. Okay, because this is where Dean is more of an asshat than you could possibly have imagined.
This feels pretty believable, though, because he's now, like, angry that it went from being this, like, bet where he was trying to humiliate his friend for being popular and cool. Like, that was the goal, right? He was trying to make him
And now this girl is popular.
And now
she's nominated for prom queen. She fits in with their friend group, mostly.
Give or take.
Well, minus Taylor. And he's a little bit jealous, I think. Like, after soccer practice, he starts ragging on, they're on the soccer team, varsity soccer. He's ragging on Zach, saying like, oh, like, you want to get back with Taylor, you like, and you could see Zach just doesn't want to give in and let his obviously evil friend know that he's really into Lainey, and he's upset that he upset her.
Yeah.
Also they have the nerdiest little locker room fight. I'm like, it was a light shove, which I'm like, it's supposed to be this big locker room fight, and I'm like, that's not what really happens.
Because no one
is like, shove, and then everybody's like, "Wah!"
No one is really like, even, I mean, Paul Walker does some horrible things later, but up until this point, no one is like overtly mean in this movie. Like, even like Taylor's moment is like light for what actually happens, and like compared to the actual reality of high school. How all these characters are acting, you're like, oh wow, all right, that feels easier, like than what you would think would actually happen.
So Dean now, he's decided, he basically calls Zach out and says like, hey, she looks like a little pocket rocket or whatever gross thing he said in the movie. He's like, are you trying to sleep with that? Are you mixing pleasure with business? And he's like, no, absolutely not. It's just a bet. And in that moment, it's like Zach just wanted to get Dean's attention off of her.
Yeah.
But then Dean took it as like, oh, green light, I'm going to go try and hit on her.
Yeah.
And he does. And he lies to her several times. He shows up to her work, asks her to prom. She says flat out no, because she's done with these people. And he's like, well, don't expect Zach to ask you because he's still in love with Taylor and you were just a distraction. She's single now. And she believes him, which I'm like,
well, she doesn't, she questions it. And then it's not until later when she questions it. And then it's not until later when the three of them are face to face where he calls out the bet and she realizes that it's a bet, and then she agrees to go with him, like to prom. Well,
his ex-girlfriend Taylor, so this scene, they're setting up for prom, so they're decorating for prom.
Yeah.
And she's off. You could see Dean is flirting with Lainey, and Taylor's like in Zach's ear, like, oh, it's like, I don't think she's available anymore. And then when he basically goes and tells Dean, like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, you didn't, like, I asked her to prom, you didn't. And he's like, Lainey, I thought we were going together. And he's like, why would she go with you? It was just a bet to you.
Yeah.
Which is how she finds out.
Yeah, exactly. She had not said yes to go with Dean at that point. She does after, because she's horrified and angry. And
she actually I don't think she ever says yes. He just shows up at her door when she decides she's not going to prom.
That is true. She decides that she's just not going to go to prom. Yeah, I do.
That was actually the most disappointing scene in the movie. She's downstairs, she's working on her art. You can see her art's evolving. She's working on art with her mom.
Yeah.
And Dad comes down. Amazing father-daughter moment. Makes me tear up every time.
Best character in the movie. He's just like the nicest person. Yeah.
And he's like, somebody's waiting for you upstairs. I really think you should just be a kid and go to prom.
I know, and you're like,
she runs up the stairs and we're like, Zach's there, and it's Dean. I was like, shit.
You're like, get out of the way. Yeah, I know. I know. And then if there's a moment where you're like, it's okay. Like, Zach, Zach will, I don't know. Zach will save her from all of this. And I kind of love that he really doesn't. Like, she
saves herself.
Again, throughout this entire movie, like, not only does she save herself, but also, like, Zach is, like, knows that he has hurt her, and instead of showing up and begging for her back or trying to explain, he gives her space and he goes
He
to prom
takes
with
his sister to prom.
which is incredible. Like, again, Doc is hanging out in the comments, and so is Kim.
Hey, Doc. Hey,
If
Kim.
you ever want to hang out with us on the live chat, we'd love to have people in our live studio audience. But Doc is like, Sookie Stackhouse is in this movie, which she totally is. Anna Paquin does such an incredible job in this role as the like
amazing,
snarky, fantastic younger sister, and everything about her is just fantastic. But she
calls her brother on his shit. She steers him in the right path. Like,
but I love that sister. He doesn't like aggressively macho guy fight to win her back. He's like, oh, I screwed up. I'm gonna give her space. Like,
he owns it.
If she wants to go with Dean to prom, fine. Like, he just lets her do that. And I mean, it ends up obviously being a disaster. But she saves herself.
So for the listeners who haven't necessarily seen the movie or don't remember it because we haven't seen it in a while. At prom, her best friend Jesse, who's a guy, overhears in the men's washroom that Dean is going to make history at this hotel and he's going to take Lainey to a hotel after prom, and he's basically going to take her virginity, is what he's implying to all of his friends.
Yeah, it's rape.
And good on his friends. They're like, screw you, Lainey's not going to give it up to you. You're an idiot. You know, and they walk off. But then Jesse runs. So he incidentally meets Anna Paquin, Mackenzie, her character's name is Mackenzie, at this prom. And they have an instant connection because they're like, I love this. This is my favorite song. And they're like, oh.
Did we just fall in love?
They had a cute little moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And, a little meet cute. And he runs to her and is like, oh my God, we have to get Zach because Dean took Lainey and he might hurt her is basically what everybody's worried about.
Can we just talk though about what a weird move this was? I think this is the one part of the movie that I like. It's cute, but I also just don't get it because in this moment, right? So the sister and the best friend find out that Lainey is in this bad situation, right? Like dangerous bad situation, like clearly.
Yeah, very rapey vibes.
Very rapey vibes, right? Like clearly not okay. Lainey is still at the dance at that point, and Zach is like in the process of so in the background of all of this.
Yeah.
Zach, there's the whole notion of prom king and queen, which again is like very weird to me. Not a thing at my school. But anyway,
it's an American movie thing.
Exactly. They're about to be crowned. So they go to try to get his attention while he's on stage being crowned. And I was like, why wouldn't you just go to Lainey or a teacher or like, I get it. I get that it's like supposed to be this
any
big
chaperone or adult in the room.
Yeah. So many other options.
Call 911.
or just go right directly to Lainey, who's literally standing right there, and they like run past her and are like yelling at Zach, which would make sense.
I feel like she was being led out at the time. Like she is there when Taylor gets. So Zach is prom king. He's now prom king. She loses prom queen. To Taylor.
Yeah.
And they make a big deal, like the principal makes a big deal, like, oh, this is the closest it's ever been. It was almost 50-50. And she Lainey being the really good person, she's like, the person who deserved to won, and I'm really happy about it. Yeah. But that's when they're walking out.
Yeah.
So it is possible maybe they just couldn't find her, because she's at the back of the.
I feel like they would have had to run basically shove her out of the way so that they can go and get Zach, so it can be this grand moment, and then Zach doesn't save her from this. Like, I mean,
well, you know what about this is he does. So they show him in his car. He's driving. He's on his cell phone. Back in the day, we used to be able to drive and talk on our cell phones at the same time. That was not a technical offense, but it is now. Yeah. We didn't have problems with it then, but anyways, so he's calling different hotels and saying like, is so and so booked in at this hotel? Is so and so booked in at this hotel? And then you think he's gonna find her, but then it flashes to like the scene cuts to her house, and her dad and her brother are watching TV, and then Lainey walks in and you see she's fine, and her dad's like, "How was it?" And it's like, "Oh, good." And Zach is there. He's waiting for her.
Yeah.
And I love that because I'm like, he had faith that she could take care of herself. He believed in her. He knew her well enough. Like, he knows her. He knows she can take care of herself. Yeah. So instead of freaking out and going all macho, crazy, I have problems handling my emotions. He actually just went to her house and he's like, she will come home at some point and I will deal with whatever happens, you know, but like I know she'll be safe because she can take care of herself.
Yeah.
I was like, yay, that.
Yeah, it's
Just
pretty
super
epic.
rare. Like that did not happen ever at that time.
I literally wrote down like, notes back and forth. I was like, Lainey's dad is amazing. She saves herself. Yes. That's badass. And then the last most like epic moment, I think, and I think I have a meme for it. Hang on. Sorry people listening. Oh, my camera switches back. One sec. I'm gonna get there, guys. I'm having all
well,
kinds
Katie
of
got her little meme, her GIF up, but
yeah.
She disappeared for a bit.
Yeah, there we go.
She's
so
back.
I love this one line. So they at the end of this, they're reunited again. She saved herself. They're together. And
he explains.
Yeah.
He explains what happened. He explains his feelings. He talks through his emotions.
Yeah, he talks through his emotions. They have this like beautiful moment. They're out like by the pool because her dad is a pool guy. So they have this beautiful moment. He turns on the lights because he's the world's best.
All the little fairy lights in the rose bushes around the pool. Very beautiful.
And she says they're dancing and it's this beautiful romantic moment. She's got the best lines throughout this entire movie. She just calls everything like it is. But she says, I feel just like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman, you know, except for the whole hooker thing. Like, I just love her. I like it.
Actually,
great.
There is one line in this movie, and in my notes, I'm like, I still don't get it. That she says in this scene. So he's like, can I have the last dance? Because, you know, prom's over. He missed most of his prom. She left prom early.
Yeah.
So, and then she's like...
She says, no, you can have all the first.
No, you can have the first dance. I'm like, what? I don't understand. Because she danced at the prom.
Did she? I don't remember.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Because his sister was like, hey, just go cut in. And he's like, oh, no. He's all shy about it, but anyway, I don't get that line. Somebody can explain it to me. The fact that it needs explaining, I don't think, but otherwise, her lines are amazing. Julia Roberts line is amazing.
It was basically irrelevant after the Julia Roberts line, so I was just like, at that point, I was like, yay! Yay!
And finally, they kiss, which is like, yay!
Yeah, and finally they kiss.
It was a good kiss.
It was a good kiss.
Yeah. They had good chemistry, very good chemistry.
And then we finally find out at the very end, like, which completed the movie for Dane, because the whole movie long, he was just like, why is this a bet?
Well,
There's no wager. Bet? Yeah. What's the bet? What is the bet, Katie? But yeah, finally we get to the absolute end of the movie and you find out that the loser of the bet, which I guess, like, if he had pulled it off, Paul Walker would have been the loser. I'm like, feels like weird. But anyway, the loser has to go to graduation ceremony completely naked, which I just love as an ending to this.
Which I'm like, okay.
Anything.
Naked Freddie Prinze Jr., which you don't see him naked. You just see, like, the top of his torso. You don't even see nipples because he has his, like, valedictorian thing around his
it's like a PG,
shoulders.
Maybe PG-13 movie. But he throws the ball that's covering himself back
he was holding a soccer ball over his dignity, I suppose, and then he kicks the ball to her, and she catches it and blushes. Very cute.
Doc must love this one because it's real football and not football.
Yeah, right? Okay, I actually wrote as a comment in this, I'm like, I love this high school focused not on American style football as, like, its main sport. Like, I love when teen movies are like, you know, soccer, lacrosse, or like a random, like, that's really cool. I enjoyed that.
Doc says first dances and wedding. Maybe it's first dances and wedding. Yeah. That makes sense to me. I would not have thought that for the movie, but it makes more sense. Yeah.
But it needed explaining. Maybe I'm just a little, you know, slow sometimes. That's okay.
You're not alone.
Okay, so one of the things I only noticed rewatching it this week in the movie, when Taylor is campaigning for prom queen, okay, there's a couple of cute, like, prom queen campaigning moments in the movie. In it, she's like just full on rich person throwing money at the problem, like free lattes on Taylor, vote for Taylor, and like giving out swag bags to people. And in the swag bag, we see somebody pulls out, it's an autographed picture of Hanson.
Yeah.
Taylor and Zach are in Hanson.
Yeah.
The characters' names are Taylor and Zach.
Yeah.
I just got that.
Yeah, I would not have got
20, 30, how many years later? I just got that.
I would never have got that at the time because, and those of you who know us well know that we were way, 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 way more into the Canadian equivalent of Hanson, also known as the Moffats.
The Moffats.
So
Props to the Moffats. Love you guys still. I mean, always, forever.
We can sing Bop, but we don't choose to.
Yeah, Bop is a bop. I love it, but yeah, they were not our jam in high schools per se.
Doc is making fun of the fact that I didn't know Chico and the Man was Freddie's dad. I admitted that. I admitted I admitted my Freddie embarrassing, totally racist and inappropriate feelings on last week's episode of The Flow.
I have an moment in this. Gabrielle Union says to Zach, "Thanks, Papi." She called him Papi. How do you know he's not? How did you not know he wasn't Latino? Or he is Latino? Like,
I feel like at the time I would not have even noticed that because I don't know.
She called him Papi.
I didn't notice that rewatching it, and I did not notice that. I don't think initially, but
I did because in my notes are like, "Ha, Katie."
For those of you who have no idea what's going on, Natalie and I, while we were in person together watching I Know What You Did Last Summer, we had a hilarious discussion because both of us had watched Freddie Prinze Jr. come back to movies with
yes,
this,
he's out of retirement
with this one absolutely wonderful Hallmark style Christmas movie where it's like all Latino, all Spanish cast, which is fantastic. But he stuck out like a sore thumb to me because he just looks so incredibly white to me, and he's not. We all know he's not, except for me. But most of us know he's not. But
his last name is Prinze.
Yeah,
with a Z.
No, his last name is Junior, Natalie. All right, his last name is Junior. Yeah, I embarrassingly did not know that he was. You know what the weird part about it is that I knew all of those facts separately, but he just looks so white to me.
Like his father is a famous.
Yeah.
Latino personality.
And like
I believe, right?
I know of his father. Like I can visualize his father. Like I know of his father. I know the whole horrible story. I know everything about. Yeah. But I just like, and I didn't, and I know his last name is Prince.
He is Junior,
but I didn't. Yeah, I just.
He is. That. I think I've heard the term. He's white presenting. Like he is half white.
He's half
like
Italian,
his mom
right?
is.
We looked it up.
Is it Italian or Irish?
I think it was.
I think his mom was maybe Italian Irish. It's something. Anyway, so he is. We're just gonna
offend. I'm gonna offend every possible culture. I'm not one to talk. It was my stupidity. I apologize to the Hispanic community.
You know what though, Katie, you're not alone. My sister-in-law, same thing. She's like, "What do you mean he's Latino?" I'm like, am I the only person who always thought he was Latino? Like,
I feel like I knew, but it just was so distinct in this movie because everyone else in this movie were not white presenting, and so he just really stood out. And like the cast was absolutely fantastic, but to see him with this like tiny, adorable woman that was supposed to be his mother, and I was like, nah. And I just like really, I had a hard time with the entire thing. But anyway, hilariously. I made fun of it, and Doc is making fun of me for it now in the live chat. But in really horribly sad news, this She's All That actually came out. Like it premiered, the premiere and the premiere party was on the anniversary of Freddie Prinze's death. So Freddie Prinze Jr. actually like had the most horrific experience with this movie and has not rewatched it. So I think he only has seen it.
They couldn't wait like a day?
I know. Isn't that horrible? Like he apparently went to the premiere, but he says that he doesn't remember like hardly anything about it.
Yeah.
Which is horrible because this movie in many ways like made him a superstar. So I just felt really, really bad about that. So sorry to tell a really funny, hopefully funny story and then flip it to a really incredibly depressing story. But yeah, kind of a weird choice as far as things go.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I guess like, what are you going to do? They probably have to book those slots way far out, but.
Well, somebody in production didn't do their job. Okay. But like they should have checked on that.
Yeah. Feels like you probably could.
I saw in a reunion, Rachael Leigh Cook, gave credence to, there was this rumor at the time that her and Freddie Prinze Jr. were at one point goofing around on set wearing Little Kim's wigs. Because she always famously had like bright colored hair, kind of pre-Nicki Minaj with
Yeah.
the fun hair.
Wow, it's funny. The second
And
you said that, I was like Nicki Minaj.
yeah, and she was like, I really hope Kim isn't watching this right now, but it's true. We absolutely were running around set with her wigs on. Like, I love that. That's so cute.
Oh, I love it. Oh, well, that wraps. She's all that, and Tom just came and hung out with us in live chat. Hey, Tom. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. It's always more fun with a live studio audience. So if you're listening to this right now, thank you for listening to it. But if you want to hang with us, we are live every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern over on YouTube. Or if you are listening on your favorite podcast player and you want to see my video camera fail a bunch of times in this one, you should totally swing over. The replay is always available on YouTube if you want to watch the whole video, or if you want to catch us live, you are always welcome. But if you're new to our show, then you don't know what our next fun part is. We've just gone through a whole synopsis of the movie and everything.
And fun facts.
And fun facts. There weren't as many fun facts of this movie as other movies that we've done. There were like only a few. So we covered all of them in just the synopsis, but I was amazed at how. But next up is our potato review, as I'm calling it. How many
Christian Slater.
How many Christian taters?
Spud Slater, Christian Tater. Either works.
Slater, Christian Tater. And we're not going to give you the story behind that because we've said it in other episodes and we'll say it in future episodes. But, you got to watch in the future or catch a replay episode in order to hear the story. But here we go.
Basically, I'm in love with Christian Slater, which seems obvious to me. But
seems everyone should be. But
everybody should be.
We're heading up here to our potato review. So we disagreed a little bit.
So we did.
So here, are we ready? 1, 2, 3. And my camera totally is going to be broken. We have 4.
Katie gave it. Yeah, Katie gave it 5 taters, and I gave it 4 taters. Yeah.
And why do you think 4? I'm curious on your 4.
Okay, because there are, obviously we love teen movies, ones that we grew up with. There are a few that I can quote back to back, cover to cover.
Yep.
This is not one of them.
That's fair.
I think I've seen this movie 3 times. 3. That's it. It's good. It's really good. Freddie Prinze Jr. is very easy to fall in love with. Rachael Leigh Cook being ugly is absurd. This is not my favorite high school movie. There are others. It's only because I don't know it by heart.
I don't know it entirely by heart. Oh my goodness. So Tom
said pump up the volume. Yes, that is my
Pump Up the Volume might have to be next, actually. It's certainly on the list. We have been asked to do...
That's one of the movies I know by heart.
We have to do Usual Suspects because we got that as a write-in, and so we need to do that one. But yeah, maybe we do Pump Up the Volume next. It is.
Yes, Doc. Doc said it's one of his all-time favorites. Yes, it is.
I would agree.
My favorite line is when the fit hits the shan. I say it all the time.
When the fit hits the shan. I think She's All That is in my top 10. So I'm willing to give it like 4.5 to 5.
Oh, you give it 5. It's an unquestionable 5 for you, Katie. Let's live your truth.
But then, you know what? But I feel that almost every movie is going to be a 5 for me until we get into the adult ones. All of the teen ones are just so wonderfully nostalgic for me that I just can't help myself.
Yeah.
But 5.
There are adult nostalgic movies.
True. They're true.
We'll go through.
Clue.
Yep.
Clue is on my list too.
Clue. Oh.
So good.
Or Braveheart. Don't tell me you don't cry for the first 25 minutes of that movie every time.
I do. I'm kind of scared to get into the adult ones because I've been living in this world of not movies as escapism, and some of my favorite adult movies are movies that have feels. I don't know if I can handle the feels.
There are a lot of feels coming down this VHS Club.
Doc says that you're brutal. You see, I like how is everyone feeling though? Because if you're listening, you can't see this, but we agreed to disagree on this one, so we put 4 Christian taters at the top. And then my one lone Christian tater. Nope, this way. I never do it right. This way here next to me. Yeah, now that you say that, I'm like, okay, so next up, Tom, on our list. So I think we'll do Pump Up the Volume next week.
Yeah.
I keep looking at the wrong camera. Pump Up the Volume next week. And then Hackers is really high on our list as well.
That's another one I know by heart.
To do Hackers
Spoiler.
the week after. and then probably Usual Suspects, and then
Yeah.
and then
Doc did
Clue.
point out the only ick I have with The Usual Suspects, because it is a phenomenal movie.
so
It was one of
good.
those where nobody saw the ending coming.
It's so good.
But it
and
kind of has
Kevin
an ick factor
Spacey's
now
in it.
because of Voldemort, we'll call him.
I know. You know what? We're gonna do it anyway, and
We will.
we'll rename him. We'll just rename him for the episode. We'll be like, and we're gonna be talking about a lot of actors. This one we're gonna call Poop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doc's like Matt Lillard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it continues our Matt Lillard theme.
Wing Commander, we could do Wing Commander if we want to
do
keep
Wing
it up with
Commander.
Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matt Lillard,
and
because
Matt Lillard,
love
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
It was
So,
a terrible
we can't
movie, but it was
decide.
so bad I still loved it.
Absolutely.
So bad.
Absolutely. Oh, Doc knows Hackers by heart. Okay, Doc, well, you'll have to come on for the Hackers
Doc,
episode then.
you are like just the in Hawaii version of me.
Yeah. You are
That's
Hawaii
gotta be
Nat. Montreal Nat's real angry that there's a Hawaii Nat because she feels just like ripped off at this tournament.
I am, for the listeners, I am a very, very pale person, and I would love to be in Hawaii.
Yeah.
The fact that I live on a small island that has precipitation all year round, basically.
Yeah.
I am so white that I check see-through on my ethnicity box, okay? Like, that's...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you did it.
All right, gang.
You wasted another hour with us hanging out here on the VHS Club. If you want to continue listening to us, you can catch past episodes on YouTube. You can find us at the VHS Club. If you want to catch us on Instagram to watch ridiculous clips of all of these episodes, you can find us at the VHS Club Pod. If you just go VHS Club, you'll find a wonderful other account, but it's not us.
Yes.
If you want to email us, you can grab our email address from the description here on YouTube, or you can listen to us wherever your favorite podcast player is. And we record live in front of a studio audience. We now have a few people in our studio audience, which I'm very excited about. You can join our studio audience every single Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, unless we change the date or time. But for now, it's Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. You know, that's how we have an audience. So, yeah, we'll see you again next Thursday, Nat. We'll see you. Tom,
See you next
Doc,
time.
and Kimberly, and Luis, and the whole live studio audience crew. Thanks for hanging out with us.
And also shout out to Joanne and Emma, who will be listening at a later date. Love you guys.
And Emma.
And yes, Doc pointed out that if I was in Hawaii, I would probably burn. 100%.
Yeah. Now
I mean, I'll get freckles.
Hat. She would have a fantastic
My version of a tan is when my freckles start getting closer together.
Mm-hmm. It's like almost
yeah,
a tan,
I would definitely go lobster shade at that point. But yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So until next week, guys.
Until next week. Bye, everyone.